What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Good.
You guys able to hear me good?
Hi, Josh.
All right, we'll get started in a minute. I think a couple. Can you guys hear me? Hi, Lita. Awesome, awesome. I think I could just do this. Stretch this thing out. All right, we'll give it like one more minute and then we'll get started. I think there's one more person we're waiting on. So, one thing I'll tell you guys, like with running like, any meeting, try to get everything, as much as you can pulled up before that meeting. That's definitely important, because if you can have your presentation up, you have your e-app up, and you have your quote sheet on the board, your Zoom up, have the email up, everything. This way, whenever the presentation happens, it's like all there on nice organized tabs. It's really important. So basically today, we'll recap last week, and then we'll just teach you guys, we'll go over term and whole, all right? And then the needs analysis. And then from that point moving forward, we'll be done. It won't be too much. Okay, it's two simple things. So while this is loading, be back. I don't even know if I'm on right now, but if I do cut out, I will be back. Like the Terminator says, you guys know how the internet works here. So typically I'm destined to cut 1-2 times. Okay. Now let's see here if we can get this presentation up. So everyone have e-app on their computer? Yeah. All right. On your e-app, it's important to get to the needs analysis whenever you are, who's calling me here? So it's important to get on a needs analysis whenever you're starting your presentation so that when you get to it, you can just click right on it and be good to go. I'm pulling up mine right now before I start sharing everything. And that's just because after the agency meeting, I basically ran and grabbed some lunch, right? And then now we're all back here. So that was a good agency meeting. You guys get some good notes? Yeah, that agency meeting was good. All the top producers. So if you want to be a top producer, you just take notes on what they said and go do it that month. You'll be up here next month, right? All right. So it looks like we're to the point where it's on to the needs analysis. But for some reason, the union presentation slide is not working for me. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Not yet, because they're messing up. I was supposed to get a call from those tech guys.
From the tech guys.
When I play that third video, it says that the video cannot be found. And it just like freezes up like crazy.
Oh man. And then can I see that remote? Because I'm gonna share it on the screen there. This way you guys can see it too. All right, so first week 1, Monday, you came in and you listened to Tommy go over the opportunity, right? So Tommy went over the opportunity with you guys. He told you a little bit about his background. Tuesday, you learned the phones from Casey. Wednesday, Thursday, you had Vince and Drew, right? And they taught you like the intro and then all the way through the no cost benefits. Friday, we did a recap. So we recapped the week with Tommy, and now we're back on Monday, right? So these weeks go quick when you're in training, and just know that like by the end of that first week, you should have down, what should you have down? The first half of the presentation. Like you should be able to easily go through the first half of the presentation by now, okay? If you can't, you're behind. And what you're gonna have to do is spend a little bit of extra time getting yourself caught up, okay? So today, moving forward, second half of the presentation, all the fun stuff, the whole reason we are here to sell insurance. We're not here to give away no cost benefits. We're here to sell insurance, and that's what we get to go over today, right? So, basically we got over 48 different types of life insurance. Now, obviously we're not going to name all 48 types, right? But they fall under the two main umbrellas, term and whole, right? And my computer's being super slow. So I don't see me being able to share my screen. So I'm going to use the board, okay? Well, term, right, is for the if in life. If you pass away while you have it, you're covered. Anything that you'll ever get offered through a job will always fall into this category, okay? Now, guys, it typically works in periods of 10 years, periods of 20 years, and periods of 30 years. I'm just going to show you a quick little example of a 10-year, okay? So let's just say you were 35 years old and you wanted 100,000. It might cost you about $1 per day, 30 bucks a month. Now, as the 10 years go down the road and you hit the age of 45, if you want to keep that same insurance that you purchased 10 years earlier, what do you think would happen to the cost if you wanted to keep it? Do you guys hear the verbiage I'm using? I'm asking you a question. So here we got to use a lot of questions too, because you want your client interacting with you, right? You want them to communicate with you so that they're paying attention to what you're going over. Okay, so 10 years go down the road, you make it to the age of 45, Chad. If you wanted to keep that same coverage you got when you were 35, what do you think would happen to the cost? Do you think it would go up? Think it would go down? You think it would stay the same?
Probably go up.
You're right. It actually would go up, right? And what happens is when it goes up, it actually goes up so much it doubles. So now it goes from 30 to 60. And then 10 more years go down the road and you're 55. You obviously still need that same insurance. What do you think happens to the cost then? Goes up as well, right? Now you're at 120. And then guys, all of a sudden you make it to the age of retirement. Pension, 401k, Social Security. You finally start drawing after all the years of putting into this stuff. And then what do you think happens with our insurance? Yeah, they either raise it right before we can't afford it, or they just cut you off altogether and say you're no longer allowed to have it. So we consider term like renting, because families will pay into it over the course of their whole entire lives. They'll make it to that certain point, and then they give the keys back to the landlord. There's nothing left. Now, I'm not going to bash it. Term's great for certain things. You know, it's good for income protection. It's good for mortgage protection. It's good for debt, right? It's good for debt, but it's not meant to be in place forever. So it was actually initially designed for mortgages. Okay. Now that's term. Then we got what? Whole, right? Whole life. For the win in life. And same person starts them out 35, 100,000 for them might cost them 80 bucks. But once they get it, it's locked in for life. So you can be 45, you can have a heart attack, you can get cancer, you can make it to the age of 100 years old. It's still the same 80 bucks that you initially got it at, and it pays out 100% of the time when you pass away. It's also the only benefit left in America that's pretty much tax-free. Okay? So, do you understand the difference between term and whole life? Get them to say yes. And then you ask them. Now, they always make me ask, no right, no wrong answer. Between the two, which makes the most sense for your family? Did you hear that, Christy? Between term and whole? What do you say?
Whole.
No, that's you.
Well, yeah, most of the time people say whole.
Yeah,
right.
So you ask the client.
Yeah.
Between these two, which one makes the most sense for your family? And let them tell you. It might be term. If it's term, give them term, right? So, term and whole, right? Now, I'm going to share my screen on TV up here, and then I'm going to do the office group room. So we're going to see me pop up there.
When would you use it?
They'll either show them on the laptop or they'll just like.
All right, guys, so I'm going to share my screen with you, okay? So using the virtual PowerPoint, if you're using the virtual PowerPoint, when you get to the blank screen, this is when you're going to go over term and whole. So Same thing like I did on the board, guys. There's over 48 different types of life insurance. They fall under these two main categories, term and whole, right? Now, term is for the if in life. If you pass away while you have it, you're covered. Anything that you'll ever get offered through your job will always fall under this category, right? So it typically works in periods of 10 years, periods of 20 years, periods of 30 years. So let's just say you were 35, you want 100,000, it's $30 a month. 10 more years go down the road, you hit the age of 45. If you want to keep that same coverage, what do you think would happen to the cost if you wanted to keep it? Would it go up, go down, stay the same? Yes, it goes up and it doubles, $60. 10 more years go down the road, you're 55, you obviously still need that in coverage, doubles again. And then all of a sudden you make it to the age of retirement. And here it either raises it right through the roof or we can't afford it, or they just cut you off altogether. Now, the other type, they call that whole. And how that works is same person, 35, 100,000 for them might be $80, but once they get it, it's locked in for life. So you can be 45, 55, have a heart attack, get cancer, make it to 100, it's still the same price, right? Now, as simple as that. Do you understand the difference between term and whole? If they say yes, okay. If they say no, go back and re-explain it. Term is like renting, whole life is like owning. Keep it really simple, right? And at that point, as long as they understand the difference, the next question is, out of both of these types of coverage, which one makes the most sense for your family? Boom, now we found out, right? So after this, of course, I got the wrong PowerPoint pulled up. After this, it goes into the circle, right? And the circle, guys, is where we get to, see, we got to use this one, I think. So the circle is where we get the needs analysis, right? So we just went over term and whole, and as soon as this loads, guys, I'll pull it up. It's my fault for not being ready with it, but we'll get it. One of these days. I don't know why the internet here at the office is just so slow. I try to do a lot too, though. All right, we'll do it on the board first while it's loading. So we got term and hold down. All right, that's easy. Now we got the circle, or the needs analysis, people call it, right? So basically at this point, let's draw a circle here. Before you explain this circle, all right, whatever term and whole you ask, which makes the most sense. Now, your union goes through contract negotiations, and every few years, it seems like they're always having some types of benefits changes. I asked them, I said, have you been a part of a contract negotiation? Have you been in the union long enough? Okay, great. Now, basically, last time that the members got together, they brought a list of concerns to the Labor Advisory Board. Now, the Labor Advisory Board, it sits 50 union presidents. Presidents from the Steelworkers, Teamsters, Jimmy Hoffa Jr., all these guys out here sit together. Richard Chumka sits at the head of it. He's the president of it. And they come up with solutions to problems that people are having, the members are having, in union households. So the first of them was for funeral and final expenses, right? Now, I ask questions here. I say, Joe, if something were to happen to you, did you ever think, would you want to be buried? Would you want to be cremated? Someone play along.
Cremated.
Cremated. All right. So do you know what the average cost of a cremation is nowadays?
No idea.
No, right? Well, that was my question, right? He wants to be cremated. All right. Do you know what the average cost of a cremation is nowadays? No? Okay. Well, actually, they say anywhere between $3,000 and $7,000 for a cremation. And I'll tell them, like, if you want to be buried, it could be between $10,000 and $15,000, right? That's today's prices. 20 years ago, this was only 4 to 5. This was less than 1. Every 20 years, though, milk, bread, eggs, should I mention the G word, gas, right? What happens? It goes up, it doubles, right? It's called inflation. Every 20 years, everything Everything you have right now, 20 years from now, is going to cost double. Pretty much how it works, okay? So in 20 years, and you're in your 20s, 20 years, you're going to be 6 to 14,000. That's only going to put you in your 40s. Funerals are going to be 20 to 30. 20 years from then, you're going to be 12 to 28,000. That's going to put you in your 60s. Can God give us another 20 years, please? Sounds ridiculous, but when you pass away, Chad, your cremation will cost anywhere between 28 and 56, 24 and $56,000. Funerals, go pull them out, 40 to 60 grand. And that's today's prices with inflation of it doubling every 20 years, right? And then just make them think about it. Like, oh shit, do I have any longevity you have any longevity in your family? Does anyone make it to their 80s or 90s? Yeah, right? Your grandparents still alive? How's their health? You should find that out when building rapport, right? So if you make it to the same age as your grandparents, chances are this is what you're going to be faced with paying for final expenses. And guys, this is the only area that our company is going to recommend the member have any type of whole life protection, because we all have two guarantees in life: death. You want to guess the other one? Taxes, right? Now I'm from an area where I've seen people get around taxes, but I've never seen anyone get around this one. Okay. Now the next area of concern that they had for the members was the loss of income. Now you're married, if something were to happen to you, you think that would change her lifestyle at all, Mary's lifestyle? Yeah, right? So we look to have anywhere between 3 and 5 years of their income protected. Basically saying it's hard enough without you, Eric. Imagine without that paycheck, right? So the company will still make sure the paycheck comes home for the next 3 to 5 years. And if they have any work insurance, this is important. If they have any work insurance, spend it here. You get life insurance to your work? Like you seen somebody got $25,000 today for their life insurance because they've been here for some time? Well, some people's works will give them like 1 year of their salary. Some people's works will give them 10,000. Some are 20. So whatever they have, spend it right here. So that girl who got 25,000, it's probably a half a year of her salary, right? So you got about half a year. You actually still have 2.5 years to 4.5 years of income that needs protected aside of what you got right now, right? Or if it was 10,000, all right, well, you look to have anywhere between 3 and 5 years, so we're not even close, right? Next area of concern is the loss of mortgage. And then you ask them, you say, do you guys have a mortgage? Okay, do you rent? Do you own? Oh, you own, okay. And when you bought your house, how many years of a mortgage did you get? And be smart, there's typically 2 types. There's a 30-year and a 15-year. Those are the 2 types typically you'll hear. So when you got your house, so you've been there for 3 years, and when you got your mortgage, did you do a 15-year or a 30-year? It makes you sound smart, right? Yeah. Oh, you did a 30-year, so you probably got about 27 left in, right? Do the math for them. Don't say, oh, how many do you have left? And have them thinking for 20 years. Just do it for them. It's very simple, subtraction. Yeah. All right? So let's just pretend they have a mortgage, and they've been there for 3 years, so they got 27 years left. And the balance on that's 220,000. Sorry, puff a lot. So 220. Now here's the question: if something were to happen to you, Eric, I'm assuming, Mary, you'd be the one responsible for the mortgage. Yeah, right. So basically, just protection to make sure that if something were to happen to him, the house can be paid off for the spouse. Okay, like paid off, no more mortgage, just taxes. Illinois.
Yeah.
And you can joke with them here because everyone talks about Illinois taxes. You can build Illinois taxes into the plan. You can say, and we'll cover the taxes for 2 to 3 years just to give her a little adjustment. All right, and then last area, guys, child education / debt. So you got 2 kids. This one always works. If you want them to go to college, great. If you're no longer here, can we give them an opportunity And what do you think every parent says?
Yeah.
Of course.
It's in a person.
That will help beat a lot of, oh, I had to pay for my own college. I don't care if they go or not. I beat it. If you're no, like, if you want them to go to college, great. If you're no longer here, take notes. Can we give them an opportunity? It works. Tell them. Make sales every day. You guys can write it down or not, it don't matter.
No, I wrote it down from yesterday.
You write it down in your head, huh?
No. Yesterday we had a tip with the child education. We usually don't throw that in unless they got like a young kid.
All right. So here's our area that we just went over. If you're taking notes, write this down. Most important part of the closing process. It's coming right up. Most important part of the closing process. I need to get a better camera. This camera's not good at all. It makes me dark. All right, so most important part of the closing process. We wrote that down. All right. Anyone want to guess what it is? What do you think it is?
I know the next step, at least that we would do,
What's the next step?
make them choose.
There you go, baby. Come on, that's it. You're right. So the most important part of the closing process is after you go over this, you say, now, Joe, they always make me ask, if you only got to choose one of these 4 areas to have protected, if God forbid something were to happen, what would be the most important to you?
Funeral plan or something.
You say funeral and final expenses?
Yep.
I'll circle it. And then I say, why? Why did you say that?
It's first financial burden left on the family.
Because it's a big burden first left on your family. Okay. And why is that important to you?
Well, because it's the first bill that we all have to pay.
Okay. Great.
And, it needs to be paid immediately.
Okay. Awesome. And then Mary, if something were to happen to you out of these 4, what would be the most important to you?
Probably that child education.
Child education. Why did you say that?
Just because if my kids wanted to get that education that they wanted, I still want them to have that opportunity, for sure.
Great. So, guys, you ask them what's the most important, and give them what they want. I'll be honest, most husbands usually choose between income and mortgage. Most wives usually are education or the income or the house. You never know where they're going to go, But most of the time, because these are the 2 biggest. So if they have any work insurance, spend it so that you can always show them a check. And most of the time, they don't really got this protected either. All right, so we asked them that, and then you say, all right, now your last no-cost benefit is called your needs analysis survey. What I like about it is it actually just takes into account your current situation, and it determines if you have any gaps in your coverage. If you have any gaps in your coverage, it's going to show you what it recommends. However, if there's none, nothing will pop up, right? So now at this point, we're on to the needs analysis, which should be up there on the screen. Now, I would recommend try to get this stuff in before your sit. All right, just so you're not doing this during the sit. All right, we'll put. Okay, perfect. So the top part, guys, just so you know, this is for the discount card. So this part right here, this is for the AIL Plus card, the discount. Get that all filled in. This is just an example. Now, here's a mistake I made. Ready? So anytime that there's a family, you have to click this Enable Family button, right? Well, check this out. I already filled out all this information. I'm going to do it to myself just to kick me in the butt. Once I click it, look what happens. Everything clears at the top. So what happens is you have to go back in and you have to redo it. So that's a learning lesson of the day. Don't put yourself in that situation because it's just going to take another minute for you. Okay. All right. So now we got Joe, we got Mary, and I already usually have Joe's birthday in there, and then I'll be like, Mary, what's your birthday? And I'll get her in there. Let's just say, okay, little joke right here. Once you get the birthdays in, you can just say, who chased who, huh? So who chased who? And then we got little Joey Jr. We'll put his birthday in there. All right. So now we got the needs analysis set up, guys, and just a couple questions. So first off, you want to build this thing up. You don't want to just like go into it and be like, oh, your last no cost benefits, your needs analysis. I'm going to run this for you and then we'll be done. No. Hey, look, your last no cost benefits actually called your needs analysis survey. What I like about it is it actually takes into account your current situation and it determines if you have any gaps in your coverage. If you have any gaps in your coverage, it's going to show you what it recommends. However, if there's none, nothing will pop up. So Joe, have you ever been to a financial advisor, you guys? Have you guys ever been to a financial advisor? No? Okay, well, if you ever were to go to a financial advisor, what they would do is they would put in place a plan for your future. And before they put that plan in place, they would look to make sure the plan was protected. Now, most financial advisors typically charge their clients hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year to do this for them. But because you're a part of the union, they actually set it up for you at no cost. So Joe, I got you in here. Mary, you're in there. Little Joey Jr. Now, just a couple questions based on the three of you, nobody else. Any internal cancers in the past 2 years?
No.
Any insulin diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, strokes, anything like that? Oxygen tanks, terminal illnesses, or Alzheimer's? Sometimers? All right. Has anyone used tobacco? Do either of you guys use any tobacco? No? Okay. Good job. And are we behaving is anybody on probation or parole? No? Okay. And then any arrest or DUIs in the past 5 years? All right. Now, just get me close, Joe. What would you say your monthly take-home pay would be? Just roundabout.
60,000.
60,000 a month?
Oh, monthly?
Yeah. So you make 60 a year. That's about 5 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for you, Mary, what do you roughly bring home?
About 3 a month.
3,000. Okay. You guys make good money as a household there. Now, through your work, Joe, do you get any life insurance through your work?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How much do you get?
It's 100K.
100,000. Awesome. And then Mary, do you get anything through your work?
No.
No. Okay. And then outside of work, you guys said you just had State Farm with your homeowners and your car insurance, right? So that's probably going to be a term. And do you know how much that coverage is? Another 100,000. All right. And that's for each of you, right? All right. Perfect. Now you told me you did own your home and there was roughly around 220,000 left. And guys, just so you know, the interest rate don't matter. You can put whatever you want. All right. But then get the years right. And then look what the next question is. Do you have insurance to pay off your mortgage in case of death? No? Okay. So I'm assuming if you didn't ask it on that, this is right where you'd ask it. So I'm assuming something were to happen to you, Joe, then Mary, you'd be the one responsible for the mortgage? Okay. I'm just bringing the problem to the surface. We already know where it's at. I just got to expose the problem. Major problem, concerns. Those are the two words, problems and concerns. All right. And then always click checking. Okay. See the checking, always click checking. And I usually like to leave it on inflation. This is how it goes. Now, look, I hit submit. Something's messed up. What's messed up? The phone number, one too many digits. All right. It checks your stuff. Make sure it's right. Right. So you get this in here. Now it's going to bring you to the mandatory read off letter. Write this down. If you're sitting down with a union member, read off their union mandatory read off letter. Don't read off the generic one. Do the mandatory one on their card. It's the second one down in your leads. So just for an example, I don't know if this is a lead here. Look, I got a lead right here. Hold on, this is a response card. So for instance, I got this lead, Cynthia Graham. Of course, it's gonna log me out. You guys know how that works.
Yeah.
Let me log in. Should work. If it goes to the thing, we might.
You guys do this so different than how I know it.
All right, impact's great. So read their mandatory read-off letter if they have one. If not, guess what happens is the generic one pops up. We'll just go over to the generic one, okay, guys? So before you click on it, just so you know, this is a little tip for you, what it's going to go over. See all this? This is what it's going to go over for the members, okay? So it's going to talk about FE. What do you think FE is?
Final expense.
Yeah, what do you think IP is? Income protection. MP, mortgage, CE, child education, okay? So this is just for you to know where it's gonna go with the videos. Once you hit continue, the letter pops up. You gotta read the letter. That's why I was trying to get one pulled up. You gotta read the letter. If you skip the letter, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. You're not gonna make a sale. So, you guys ready for this?
Real quick, when you read this off, where it says
You
46.6, shouldn't you really say 60?
say whatever you want. I just say whatever's on the screen just because they're looking at it.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
right.
so,
Say something else.
so dear Joe and Mary, the insurance programs being offered you today are made available on a voluntary basis with the cooperation of your union and American Income Life Insurance Company, a 100% union label company with a long-standing history of serving union members and their families. We are privileged to provide insurance services to millions of policyholders throughout the United States, Canada, and New Zealand, and currently have over $46 billion of insurance in force. AIL supplemental benefits are not in competition through any group benefits through your workplace or employer, and they can complement any policies you may already have. If you choose to take advantage of any of the programs offered through AIL, your benefits program is permanent and portable throughout your lifetime. If you qualify, your coverage lasts a lifetime and is your independent control. Once the program has been explained to you, we'll show you agree with the many participating members. It's one of the most valuable programs you've ever seen. There are several benefits available. Please take a few minutes to listen to the AIL representative who's visiting you. If they can help you in your needs in this area, then we ask you to take advantage today. If not, we do like your feedback, so please take a minute to complete the report form. We actually share this information with your union to help serve you more effectively. The reason why we're asking you to make a decision today is we have several thousand families requesting our programs and can only visit each family once at a time. We appreciate the opportunity to serve you and your family today. So basically, Joe and Mary, here's the way that it works. As if I'm going through these benefits and you're nodding your head thinking these are really great benefits, I can see why they had it set up and all the members were excited about it, then they're going to ask you to try to qualify today. But on the flip side, if I go through your benefits, you're nodding your head like, yeah, they're great benefits, but they don't feel a need for me or my family, then we actually would ask you not to try to qualify, right? Either way, yes or no, they ask us to do it on an enrollment basis and make a decision, right? So either way, we have to make a decision. But the great part about the benefits, guys, is they're pretty much a no-brainer. So you're going to know at the end whether or not it does fill a need for you or your family. The only thing that they ask me to ask you is if I'm going through these benefits here, if you have any questions at all, will you stop me and ask me?
Yeah.
Verbal yeses. Okay, because what they didn't want me to do is get all the way to the end and you say something silly like I wanted to think about it. Okay. So either way, like I said, your group still does value your opinion on the officer report form. It's like my report card goes back to your union to let them know I'm serving you effectively. So let's examine the need for final expense protection. That's all you have to say. Let's examine the need for final expense protection. Watch it with them.
The family is one of the most beautiful and valued things in life. For this reason, saying goodbye to a loved one can be difficult, and even more so when we are not prepared. The emotional distress adds to the financial burden. It can be devastating to lose the family savings or even the family inheritance. The average cost of a funeral continues to rise, and these expenses can be higher depending on where you live. Keep in mind that funeral and cemetery expenses increase each year due to inflation and other economic factors. At 4% a year for the next 20 years, the cost of a funeral will have risen above $30,000. Expenses become even more overwhelming when you consider that Social Security only pays a $255 death benefit, and that's if you qualify. That still leaves all of the expenses for your family to cover. The last thing we want is to leave our loved ones in this kind of situation when we perish, isn't it? That's why it is important to anticipate for future events with preparation. Otherwise, who would be responsible for those unforeseen and sometimes escalating expenses that no one is ready for? We all want our last goodbye to bring comfort and leave a loving memory of us in the hearts of our loved ones. However, these good feelings can be diminished when you do not have coverage for final expenses and a burden is presented that could mean thousands and thousands of dollars. For this situation, American Income Life recommends our whole life policy along with the Freedom of Choice certificate. The process is simple and can be used to cover your final expenses up to the face value of your policy. Your beneficiary takes the certificate to the chosen funeral home, agrees to the service details, and writes the total amount on the back, signs it, and hands the certificate to the funeral home director. When the service is needed, the funeral home director calls the number on the certificate to speak directly to a claims representative. Payment is made directly from our company to the funeral home, and the remainder, if any, is paid to the beneficiary in a lump sum check. The decision is simple, and your family deserves it. Obtain final expense coverage, which allows you to have the Freedom of Choice certificate. That way, you will help avoid many problems for your loved ones. Today, you can enjoy the tranquility of knowing in that inevitable moment, there will be peace. If you're giving them the best today, prepare for tomorrow. Leave them only beautiful memories. Love is shown with action.
All right. So, guys, the reason why they have me play that video is really two main reasons. One, it refreshes everyone on what actually goes into a funeral. I mean, let's face it nowadays, guys. They say a funeral is almost as big as a wedding. The only difference between a wedding and a funeral is a wedding, you could plan it out for a year. You could push the thing back. You could even cancel it, right? But a funeral, you got maybe 2 or 3 days at the most, right? So now at the worst time of your family's life, and I'm unprepared, but you want to have that freedom of choice certificate in your hands. You want to say, do you have a freedom of choice? I know you got one in there, right? No? Yeah, he does. My man, Eric Barrios. So the second reason is for, the take care of your funeral, and that's why they use the freedom of choice. So how this works is at the worst time of your family's life, not if, but when, they would actually go down to their choice of any funeral home. Now, they're not going to go into that funeral home saying, hey, Joe got 30,000. What can I get? Because guess how much they're going to charge them? Oh, 30,000, right? So basically, at the worst time of your family's life, Mary, you would go down there, you would say, Joe had life insurance. What's the best price I can get? And we're just going to put a policy number on here where their family can negotiate the cost. Once they come up with the amount, they'll fill in the amount here. They'll then sign it down here like it says blank check where beneficiary is. Hand this certificate over to the funeral home director, and they're done. They don't have to do anything from that point on. Now, at the worst time of your family's life, they would just lose you, Joe. That funeral home would want paid when? Immediately, right? The funeral home is going to say, I'm sorry for your loss, but how are you going to pay for this? So instead of him bothering your family for a check, 2 checks get sent out immediately. One for the full cost of the funeral, which was negotiated right on the back of this, going directly to the funeral home. Anything left over will go back to your family within a week and a lump sum tax-free check to wrap up additional costs. So Joe, do you have any questions on how your freedom of choice certificate works? No? Mary, do you have any questions on how your freedom of choice certificate works? No. Okay, great. Guess whose freedom of choice certificate it is now, guys? It's theirs. It's no longer ours. It's theirs. Okay. I just asked them if they had any questions on how their certificate works, and they told me no. So the expert simulator, listen to the verbiage. The expert simulator recommends everybody in your age bracket, Joe, to have a minimum death benefit of $30,000 in place to guarantee that their funeral and final expenses will never be a burden to their family again. Right now, Joe, you actually have an existing of 0, so you still have a need of 30,000. And the expert simulator was recommending making sure you had that full need of 30,000 taken care of, so that your funeral and final expenses will never be a burden to your family ever again. Mary, the expert simulator recommended 30,000 for you as well. It's showing right now you actually have an existing of 0, so you still have a need of 30,000, and the expert simulator was recommending making sure you had that need of 30,000 taken care of, so that your funeral and final expenses will never be a burden to the kids if something were to happen to Joe before you. Okay. Let's examine the need for monthly income protection. Don't worry, we're not playing that one, guys. We skipped that one. but we show them it. All right. So 5 years of your income, Joe, came out to 300,000. You actually have 200,000. You have 100,000 through your car insurance company. You got another 100,000 through your work. So basically, you only have a need of 100,000 to get you up to a full 5 years of your income. And the expert simulator was recommending you had that protected. Now, Mary, 5 years of your income came out to 180. You actually have an existing of 100, so you only have a need of 80 to make sure you would be up to a full 5 years as well. For the mortgage, we have 220,000. Now, just so you guys know, this TA30 is a 30-year decreasing term, okay? Just so you know. Now, 220,000 left on the mortgage. You have an existing of 0, still a need of 220, and this is on the primary, so this would be on Joe, all right? And then child education,
As parents,
it recommends if something were to happen, little Joey Jr., they would set aside $100,000 for him to get an education. He has an existing of 0, so still has a need of 100, and it actually was recommending protecting that. So if something did happen, he'd be able to, get his 4-year education or go ahead and start a business, right? So here's your guys' situation. Now, what I need to do here is I need to, one, know the next thing I hit. When I hit continue right here, guys, it's going to get ugly. A big price is going to pop up in the corner. So what I recommend you do is stop sharing your screen like this. You bring them back to you, okay? Bring them back to your mug, and then you just so I'm resharing it just so you can see. You bring them back to you, and then you hit continue. And then once you hit continue, look, the price shows up in the corner. So if the price shows up in the corner, they're gonna get sticker shock a little, right? What I would recommend is just pull this up on your own, hit next benefit, next benefit, next benefit, all the way down until you see the continue button. Take notes, all the way down to the continue button, Tasha, because sometimes you're gonna be like, I can't get to the super combo, and it's because you just kept hitting submit down here or return the survey. But once you hit continue, all right, you can hit submit. And when you hit submit, you can get into the super combo and build a rate. You could also build all your rates up here if you wanted to, okay? If you wanted to put 50,000 for Joe, you just go right over to 50,000, punch it in there, hit recalculate, boom, we're good. So you can build rates up here. Look, you could go down to 3 years of income for him. You could do 3 years of income for her. You could make any adjustments right here on the screen, which is pretty cool, okay? But if you want to go in and build your own rates, hit submit. And then you open up your super combo. And as it's loading, you should be able to build rapport. Scroll down here. This is Joe. This is Mary. This is the kid. See, if you want to add the kid a policy, click that. You'll be able to get the kid its own policy too. We'll talk about these later. You'll learn those later in class, but here's the 2 rate boxes. So that's as far as I want to go with you guys. We've been going for like 45 minutes, 40 minutes. Why don't you guys take a little 10-minute break, get back in here, get back on, and then we're going to bust it down and do role playing for the last hour. You guys are going to go over term and whole, and then your needs analysis page, and that's it, each of you. So each of you should be able to get in at least 1 rep before the end of training class today, okay? And the goal is to be done by 3, because 3 o'clock they're going to come in here for a team meeting. Make sense? 10-minute break. I'll see you guys in Oh man, you guys eat good lunch today?
I barely eat anything.
Oh man, you guys got to make sure you're eating.
I was trying, I was stuffing my face, so I walked in exactly at 1.
Yeah, that's what I hurry up. I ran to Panera, got back, and like 2 minutes later, I was running training.
Wait, Reed fucking took me. That motherfucker took forever in Chipotle. I got Panda.
Chipotle is that spot. I usually eat it 2-3 times a week.
Fuck that. I can never eat that.
So, this is good. We got 2 on the screen. We got 2 in here. We can do the on the screen can role play, and you 2 can role play. Okay. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna take my computer over there so I can listen to you 2 and them do it at the same time. All right.
All right.
So, you 2, I'm gonna enable sharing. I'm gonna stop this recording.